Hey, everybody. Welcome to the 116th episode of the Run, Try, Bike Fireside Chat. Amazing to say episode 116 because this all started a couple of years ago as a way to just talk to people. And now here we are with our 116th episode and our most recently launched Everyday Athlete Podcast Network, wherever you get podcasts: Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, or iHeartRadio. And when you go there, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review our shows. We've got 7 of them. Today, we have a very special guest, Robert Rodriguez. He was on the cover of our last digital magazine, May and June. And the title of his article was Never Perfect, Always Worth It. At 10 months old, a birth defect forced his mother to make the decision to amputate his leg. And if that wasn't enough, Robert was born into a broken home and suffered abuse as a child. A devastating house fire changed his life forever as he was determined not to be a victim. So without any further ado, let's get Robert on the show and start talking to this amazing athlete. Robert, thanks for joining us, man. How are you?
Thank you, Jason, so much for having me. So excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, first off, let me say thank you to you. This is our first conversation, and I was thrilled to see you on the cover of our magazine because I'm sure, as Om explained to you, our entire goal is to prove that there is a spot at the starting line for everybody and every body. And your picture on the cover proves that to be true.
Yes.
So let's just jump right into it. I was reading the story again this morning, preparing for our conversation, and you played basketball, volleyball, and soccer as a child. So what was that like? Because kids can be so mean, man. Like, what was that like for you playing those sports as a kid?
Yeah. So, well, as a kid, my main sport actually was baseball. That was the first sport that I ever played. Growing up in New York, my dad being Puerto Rican from the Bronx,
Time out, time out, time out. Brother, I'm Puerto Rican from the Bronx.
There you go.
What's up? Boricuas in the house.
That's it. The Boricuas. Medio Moreno, meaning half black, right? For those who don't understand. But, that's it. So, I don't have to tell you that Puerto Rican from the Bronx, by default, you are a Yankees fan.
No, that's the whole thing, bro. I am a Mets fan because everybody around me was a Yankee fan.
Oh, and you're going against the grain.
Yeah, I had to, brother, let me tell you, I love to argue with people. And so I just became a Mets fan just so I could argue. And I will tell you this, I was born in the Bronx in 73. And so the Yankees were good in the 70s. And then as I came of age as a kid, right, the Yankees stunk in the 80s. Don't let anybody out there fool you. They were terrible.
That's true.
And the Mets were dominant then too. So it was really helpful to be rooting for a dominant Mets team at the time when the Yankees stunk when you live in the Bronx.
It's so true. Yeah, you had those are the Darryl Strawberry days and everything. Of course, until we started taking over. So no one out there don't get fooled out here by Jason's content of the story, right? But funnily enough, I grew up on Long Island. Baseball was my first and favorite sport, and the Mets actually were the ones that always let like my little league team. At least we would run the field. They would always invite our little league out. So I always had a place in my heart for the Mets. Had a ton of Mets baseball cards. I still have a ton here, but let's not get it twisted. I'm a diehard Yankee fan.
All right. So baseball was your sport growing up. What was that like as a kid in the Bronx? You had your leg amputated. Again, kids aren't the nicest, man. So was it a hard thing to do for you back then?
Yeah. So growing up as a kid, so I grew up mostly in Long Island, and being an amputee without technology like it is today was extremely different. Speaking of baseball, when I was about 12 years old, I was going out, running to right field. That was the position I was playing in my Little League championship, first inning, and my prosthetic foot broke. And I yelled to my dad, I'm like, Dad, my foot broke. And I don't know what he thought I said. He's like, it's all right, play through it. And I'm like, no, Dad, my prosthetic foot broke. And this is back in the day for any of the parents out there where you still had stirrup socks, for your baseball. So he picks me up and my prosthetic foot is hanging from the stirrup sock. And then all the parents are like, oh my goodness. And they're like, it's okay. He has a prosthetic foot. Well, lo and behold, he brought me to the dugout. We lost that game. Another team had to come in and give me high fives. Good game, good game. I didn't play, and we lost the championship. And it was just something that always stuck out to me. Ended up winning a championship about a year later, but it was just a moment of being an amputee, having a malfunction like that, and just ruining a moment for me. But it gave me a competitive spirit, which brought me here today. Nowadays, I have an extra foot. I can pop one off, put a new one on. But that moment always stands out as an athlete and as an amputee for me.
So was it something that was ingrained in you from the beginning as a kid that adversity is going to come? And look, let's be real, right? Puerto Rican, black, like in this country, adversity is real when you're a minority. And so was it ingrained in you from a kid? Adversity is going to happen. How you address it and how you overcome it is going to be the definition of how you become successful.
Yes, sir. So I believe that we all need a little bit of adversity. Challenge builds character. And when you're young and you're going through many challenges, such as the ones that I faced, a lot of times you can get caught up in the why me, especially when you see other kids who may have a two-parent household or just things that you admire or want, and thinking, why can't I be like that? But not knowing that sometimes these things are shaping us into the people that we need to be. And so now I'm thankful for all of that adversity, but that adversity really gave me tough skin and made me into the person that I am today.
So you go through that scenario, you win a championship the next year. Do you think that winning the championship the following year was even sweeter because of what happened the year prior then?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I have plenty of those stories in sports of coming back, working harder. Of course, you want that win the first time, but realizing that loss is really what sets you up to get a win, and it always feels better, greater, especially if you meet with the team that beat you last time or beat them along the way. I mean, it just tastes so sweet. It's a great feeling, and then of course you get bragging rights. So.
So I started out with that you played basketball, volleyball, and soccer. So how did you go from baseball as your main sport into these other sports? Was it just an opportunity for you to just keep trying things to see what, you enjoyed?
Yeah, so actually, I never played volleyball or soccer as a kid.
Oh,
I actually transitioned to the USA team as an adult, which is
gotcha.
interesting. So from baseball, I went to basketball. I played football a little bit. So I was into those agility sports, but what we called with all able-bodied people because there were no amputees. So me, I was just trying to keep up with everyone else who had two legs and had all the resources. And for me, it was just trying to show what I can do and be as fast as everyone else, as good as everyone else. So I always had to work just a little bit harder than I felt like than others, and especially not having the technology and the support for my prosthesis like I do today.
Did you ever feel like people were not giving their best effort against you because they sort of, and I'm going to put this in air quotes, felt bad for you with
Oh,
having the amputee?
oh yeah. So basketball is always been near and dear to me just because of what the basketball world has done for me as a person and the people who have inspired me throughout that and growing up. And transitioning from baseball to basketball, all I needed was a ball and a hoop. And so, like anyone else, I fell in love with that sport. And when I would go on hot days like this, actually, if you guys can see, my hair is crazy. I just flew in from Florida at 3 a.m. I'm so tired. I just came from training three different basketball teams. I had a private session, and then I had a session with my boys group, and then a session with my girls group. So I was just sweaty and ran in the house and changed my shirt. So that's why my hair's scruffy, everything's scruffy, because I'm still in the basketball world now. But that sport really gave me confidence because I had to show up in shorts, and a lot of people would look at me like as the guy who was missing his leg. So they would stay away from me. They would leave off on me until I started scoring on them or doing well, and they'd be like, "Who's guarding him?" And then that gives me an opportunity to talk junk like can't nobody here guard me kind of thing. So basketball, I had to step out of that comfort zone. Unlike baseball, where you could wear pants and cover it up a little bit, I had to show off my leg and then also show people what I can do in basketball courts all across New York.
I'm sure when you set that first hard pick, that the opposing team was like, "Oh shit, this guy is not moving. We better take him for serious."
Yeah, it's the hard pick, but it's really the running because they're thinking, oh, he's missing his leg until I cross you over or come through fast, and they're like, wait, he's way faster, quicker than I thought. So I better guard up.
And the whole right, don't judge a book by its cover scenario right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I mentioned the volleyball and the soccer thing a couple of times. So we're making our way to this part eventually because you did happen to make the U.S. amputee soccer team, World Cup team.
Yes,
so you talk about basketball, you're in shorts running, people see the amputee leg. Clearly that happens in soccer too. When you first started playing soccer, was it also sort of like this, man, take it easy on him, or he's not gonna be able to keep up with us because he doesn't have, two fully functioning legs?
Yeah. So basketball being my first love, I ended up finding a all amputee basketball team. And what we did was instead of playing in wheelchairs, it was the AMP1 basketball team. We played full court basketball, standing up, and we would play versus able-bodied guys, and we would win. That led me to getting into the adaptive community and finding other adaptive sports. Through that, I found tryouts. So one of my teammates on the AMP1 team played on the USA amputee soccer team. So he told me to come and try out. And my other best friend, he played his entire life growing up. And for soccer, we play on crutches for USA soccer. So I had to not wear my prosthesis. I had to use forearm crutches, and it was extremely hard. I actually dislocated my shoulder 3 months, well, not even 3 months, 2 months before the tryouts. And I went out to Houston, Texas, tried out for the USA soccer team, and made it through grit, just through grind and through hustle. And it was different. It was different than what I saw. But it was just an honor to really just work that hard and make that national team, and then have my first opportunity to represent the United States of America.
Let me tell you something. When you said AMP1 right away, I'm sure you know where I'm going. Like the and one videos
Yes,
from
sir.
back in the day, just started scrolling through my mind of seeing them dudes dunking and the dribbling and the crossovers and people laying on their back after getting crossed over. Like I can't imagine.
So that was us. So Scott Odom and Tyler Hyatt, they're the founders of AMP1, and they created that off of AND1. We were like the amputee version of AND1 because we were winning games, missing our legs, missing arms, and winning versus NCAA champions, D3 colleges, high school varsity teams. We were kicking butt out there. So that really got me to where I was because it showed me how to use my leg, play sport on a high level. And that's what really opened up the doors for me to do more athletics and to be where I am today.
Are there any videos of you and AMP1 out there that we can
Google AMP1. Just Google Robert Rodriguez, AMP1, AMP1 basketball. Just go to Google. There are a ton. There's everything up there. You'll see us at the Jordan gym. You'll see some of that halftime stuff. Just go to Google. That's all I'm going to say.
I'll be watching that all night tonight, I'm sure. When you're at your camps with the kids and they start mouthing off or start not listening to you, do you like pull out the video and be like, look, watch this?
Oh, I do it right then and there. So when I'm training kids, I take shots. Guess what? If I miss this, y'all are running laps. You know, if, like that kind of thing. You know, or I mean, if I make it, y'all running laps. If I miss, I'm running a lap. So just showing them what I can still do.
How much fun are you having with this stuff, man?
Man, I can't even explain it to you. Again, I advise anyone just to go to Google, follow me on Instagram. I try to just show what I'm doing because it's actively what I'm still doing today, not even just past things, but I love it. The biggest thing is that sometimes with sports, we get caught up in the self accolades, but I really realized for me, sports was a tool. I like to compete as a man and get it out there, but I also like to inspire others to show them what I can do. But it's also giving me a tool to give back, to coach, to show, especially this generation, how to lose, how to learn, how to work together. So it's so much fun teaching that next generation. It's so much fun switching sports and being able to kick people's butt in different arenas and be a chameleon, if you will. So I love it. I truly have found my purpose. And at 37 years old, being able to still be elite is just something phenomenal.
For those of you who are going to listen to this on our podcast version, you can hear it in his voice, but to see his face, it lights up when he talks about being able to participate and compete against fully able-bodied athletes and what he's doing to help these kids play basketball. His face lights up. It's amazing. So I want to transition here, Robert, to triathlon. This is, after all, Run, Try, Bike, not baseball, basketball, soccer show. Do you remember the conversation that you had with your friend to give triathlon a shot? Like what was that like?
Man, my triathlon journey. Oh my goodness. As anyone who's on that journey knows what it takes. Um, so I go out to New York City. It's a good friend of mine. His name is Billy Davis. He's an above the knee amputee. I met him right after his surgery. He was in a motorcycle accident and lost his leg above the knee. And about 3-4 years later, he's like, let's go to Starbucks. Let's sit down. I'll treat you to a coffee. And we had a conversation. And he's like, you're doing all these sports. You should really try triathlon. And I'm like, triathlon? What are you talking about? There's no way in the world you're going to catch me doing triathlon.
All right, time out, time out. So there's no way in the world you're going to catch me doing triathlon. Did you know what triathlon was?
Yes. So I knew
Okay.
triathlon. Well, you think you know what triathlon you think you know. So to me, it was like I knew you were swimming, biking, and running, right? So I'm like, it seemed crazy anyway. I'm like, I can't afford that. I don't have the time for that, and that's not what I do. I play basketball, I play baseball, I play football. I'm doing so many different things. So it was just not something on my radar. And he said he was getting into it, and I started watching videos online after that, and then I started doing 5Ks. So in my mind, still thinking like, no, but maybe I could because I started getting more wind of it. The sport really started getting popular. And, about 2 years later, I met a group of people in my area in Long Island, and they were triathletes. And I wanted to give it a go, but I still didn't get enough signs. So I did maybe 2 workouts with them and completely dropped it. And they said, nope, this is not it. I'm good. And yeah, I mean, if you want me to keep going on, I'll keep going and tell it.
Yeah, I want to hear the journey because here's the thing, man. Like as we're talking, the only thing that I keep hearing or thinking about is here's two Boricuas from the Bronx who are competing in triathlon. And if you would have told me when I was, 10, 11, 12 years old about triathlon, I'd have been like, I don't know what that is. And there ain't no way in hell I'm doing it. Like to your point, I'm going to go play basketball. I'm going to go play baseball and I'm going to go play football. And so I want people to hear about your journey because there are other Hispanics and Black people in the Bronx that would be phenomenal at triathlon if they only knew what it was. And so I want to hear. So you hear this story, you're having coffee and swim, bike, run, and you go through 2 trainings and you're like, nah, this isn't for me. What brought you back?
Yeah. So what ended up happening was it was still in my mind because it's so hard, right? You think of it, especially when you haven't done it, and you see it as a mountain, right? Not a molehill. It just seems like a mountain. And I started having some friends who got really popular in triathlon. One's name's Roderick Sewell, who was the first bilateral amputee to complete Kona as a bilateral amputee. Completely inspiring, one of my best friends. And then another one is Rudy Garcia Tolson, who is just a staple in the triathlete community for people with disabilities with Challenge Athletes Foundation. These 2 gentlemen specifically, we went on a trip to help kids in Ethiopia, and this is in February of 2020. Now, at this point, I already did USA Soccer, already went to the World Cup and scored. Went to the World Championship for Para Spartan Racing. I was already on the development program for USA Volleyball. I was doing sitting baseball. I was doing so many different other sports. But then in February of 2020, we went to Ethiopia and we get back in March. Rudy was my roommate. This is actually our second trip together. We went to the Philippines a few months before that. By the time we got back, the pandemic hit and everything changed. And in that moment, I went through an extreme depression because my wife is a nurse. She was in surgical ICU working at that time. So she got mandated 4 days a week, 12 hours a day. My 2 children were 5 and 7 years old, and they had to come home and be homeschooled. And I was traveling around the country every week as a motivational speaker. I lost $20,000 in the span of 2.5 weeks. My job actually cut our salaries. I sunk into a depression and I was looking for signs. I'm a man of signs. So I'm constantly trying to figure out what I should do next. And as an athlete at that time, I was day drinking. I just wasn't in the right headspace like anyone else. I'm standing in front of the TV, watching the propaganda and the news and not knowing which way to go. My wife was coming home crying and depressed. And so I didn't have the answers. and I felt like, what do I do? But as an athlete, I couldn't stand there. I gained about 25 pounds, and I knew this wasn't me. So I went to Amazon. I brought some weights. I brought some things, and I started setting up a workout area in my garage. And I knew I couldn't stay in this depression and this mindset. So now I'm on Amazon Prime, just watching movies, as is what we do. And then there's a movie, a triathlon movie there, and both of my friends, Rudy and Roderick, are in this movie. And I was just with them 2.5 months ago, right?
Did you not know that they were in a movie?
No clue, did not know they were in this movie, right? And I think it's We Are Try. I could be wrong, but something like that on Amazon Prime. And I immediately called Rudy. And I said, yo, I'm watching this movie and you're in it. And he was like, yeah, we just start joking. We talking crap, and I miss you, this and that. And he's like, listen, I'm thinking about trying to go back to the Paralympics for swimming. And I'm moving from New York. He was living in Brooklyn at the time. And I'm leaving to San Diego Monday. And I'm like, Monday? And today was Friday at the time. And I said, well, listen, I'm thinking about doing triathlon. I just saw you guys in the movie. I'm feeling like I'm seeing a sign here, right? And so he said, well, if you want, I'm leaving. I can't take this bike, which is like $1,000 Cannondale that he had. And he said, come pick it up and you can use it and start training. So I drove to Brooklyn the next day. I grabbed his Cannondale and now I had a bike. I didn't have a running leg, but I had like a foot called the Challenger. So I started using that foot to run around the block. I had a pool in my backyard. I went to Amazon and I got the tether since all the pools were shut down. And I tried to start swimming, biking, and running, what I thought in my mind, right? And just moving my body. It was the one thing I could do consistently. And then my best friend, he started training me in the park. So I started doing strength and conditioning. And I had a vision of myself crossing the finish line in a USA kit. And
that's awesome.
Like, it was a vision. This is like June 2020. And I could just see myself crossing the finish line with USA across my chest. And so if anybody knows me, I get, once I'm locked in, I am locked in. I get obsessed, and that is it. You can't tell me anything. And that's what ended up happening, Jason. And so I started training as much as I could, ton of strength and conditioning. And then in about August, I put out a post on Facebook saying I'm looking for a coach, because now I had read books. I watched stuff. You need a coach. Okay, I need a coach. Well, in 2017, I did American Ninja Warrior. That was one of the television shows that I did, season 9. And I had met a gentleman. His name was Zach. And so I put up this post and he said, hey, listen, I do triathlons and I have a coach for you. So someone else responded too. So it was between two coaches. Well, this one gentleman lived very close. I met him at the beach. He said, let me see you train first. I said, listen, I have this dream. I want to cross the finish line in a USA kit. And he met me at Robert Moses Park here in Long Island. And I swam. I took a swim and he said, okay, I can work with this. Now, riding my bike, when we did my bike test, I looked like a deer in headlights trying to clip in my bike for the first few times. Falling all over the place, trying to get this prosthetic leg clipped in, twist out, looking like a damn fool. I'm so glad there's no video of this, right? So, but my coach, his name is Brian Fallon from Aquaterra. We are extremely close to this day. I would not be anywhere I am in triathlon if it was not for this man. And so he started coming to my house. He started training me in my pool. We started working on equipment with my prosthetist. And I started training with Training Peaks, and I bought a Garmin, and now I'm starting to get settled in. How much is it for these bike shoes and this helmet? I need running shoes, and I need a heart monitor, and so on and so forth. I'm like, this is insane. And a bike computer, and
you're thinking, I'm going back to basketball where all I need is a shorts and a hoop.
That's it. So, we didn't have a lot of money. That's why basketball was I didn't even need a hoop. Just needed that ball. Right?
Give me that milk crate.
That was it. Now I'm in triathlon, and I'm thinking back to Billy Davis and us having that coffee. And I'm like, this is why I didn't want to get involved in this. Thousands of dollars immediately. But I believed it. And to anyone out there who's listening, if you feel something in your heart, if you believe it and it's in your head, it's there for a reason. So don't fight it. Just follow it. Follow your heart. Follow your signs. Don't fight the wave. Just ride the wave. And that goes for triathlon, metaphorically speaking, and race speaking. And so in September of 2020, I said, okay, I think I'm ready. But there's no triathlons in New York. So my trainer, Chris, who was my friend who was doing my strength, I found Cocoa Beach Triathlon. So I go out to Cocoa Beach to try to do my first triathlon during COVID. I spent $2,000, learned how to pack up my bike. If anybody's packed up their bike, that is a whole process in itself. You know,
that in and of itself is a workout and a race all in one, getting a bike packed up.
Yes, especially when you're first starting and you got a crappy case and it's just, you know, you got no idea what you're doing. I slipped my arm open just trying to get my pedals off, you know.
The worst, dude, the absolute worst, trying to get those pedals off.
Yes. So figuring it out though. So we go to Cocoa Beach. I get there nervous. Day before they had a physically challenged PC Open is what they call it. So that's what I entered. And so we did the course familiar, the familiarization, and I felt okay. Super nervous, felt okay. 4 a.m. comes for Sunday, get ready to do my thing. They cancel it because of lightning. And I'm like, there's no way. I just spent all this money to come out here for my first triathlon. And I've been training, taking time away from my family. I said, yo, this is not for me. This is not for me. So I get back home. I'm upset. Was crying. I got that on video. Me crying like a little baby because my first triathlon got canceled. So upset. Lo and behold, there'll be more of those moments down the line. But it built me up. So I get home and the Challenge Athletes Foundation calls me. There's a gentleman, his name is Jamie Brown. He was on Team USA. He went to the Paralympics. One of the first gentlemen, same amputation as me. And he was coming to New York the next week to do a 50-mile bike ride. Now, this would have been my longest bike ride at the time, too. We do this 50-mile bike ride, and on my way back, him and I spent the entire time talking, and then after everyone left, he spent another hour showing me his leg, talking to me about triathlon, telling me how this sport is going to build me up and break me down, and to just not get discouraged and to stay consistent. And that was it, Jason. From that point on, you couldn't tell me anything different. It was October, so we all know the season starts to wrap up around that time. So all I could find was duathlons. So I went to New York City and I started doing duathlons. So I did about 3 duathlons from that time until December. I went to Atlantic City. I did my first reverse sprint try in Atlantic City, and the run was 1.5. The bike was 4 miles, and then you ran inside because it was December to do a 500-meter swim, right? And I crossed the finish line, came in 3rd place. I called my coach, and I'm like, Coach, I'm a triathlete. And he's like, not really, but he's like, but I'm proud of you. I'm like, all right, fine, all right, whatever. And I couldn't wait for the season to start, Jason. And if anybody knows, it's a huge race, a Miami Speedway race. And that was my first real triathlon sprint distance. Bob Babbitt, who was very well known in the triathlon world, took me under his wing, sent me my first wetsuit, got me gear, interviewed me like he did all the pros there at Miami Speedway. And I got set to take my first triathlon, and I took 1st place. And I said, all right, I think we're on to something. I think we are on to something. Actually, here we go right here. Challenge Miami. So this is my first trophy right here. Challenge Miami, right?
That is awesome.
Sick, right? So sick. And that was important. So I love that helmet. It's my first race, my first real race. And then that was it. You know what comes after that? We're signing up for everything. We're figuring out where the next race is. And that was it. Every race in New York I showed up to. There wasn't something that wasn't going on that I wasn't getting to. And then I found the USA Development Series and for para athletes. And they had 5 races in different states where you can work your way up. You race other adaptive athletes, and you really just learn the sport and you work your way up to be a part of Team USA. And so I did that. I went to every state, Texas, Florida, Indiana, everywhere, right? Drove 17 hours, took planes, all types of stuff, and started getting, my foot wet, if you will. And it was amazing. It was so amazing, Jason. So amazing. Took 3rd place for the entire series. Went to the national championship. Placed 5th that year. And I got my elite license. and then we were off. We were off, and we made Team
Well,
USA. Yep, yep.
well, so we got a comment on Instagram from Texas Dream Chaser says, "My guy Rob, 100%."
That's it. That's my boy Mike, man, and he knows we him and I have gone to war versus each other and together. Man, Dream Chaser, always love that man. And you talk about someone who's really loving the sport and lives triathlon, is that man right there. And yeah, and since him, he's another minority in the sport as well, and that was something that was tough even during that time. Showing up to
Yeah.
these races as a man of color and saying, looking around, saying like, "Hey, all right, there's not that many people that look like me, but I'm here to show up. Also, I'm missing my leg, so now I'm sticking out like a sore thumb, you know." And that was it. But ready to show up, compete, and give it everything that we have.
I got a real quick story. I just talked to Becky Croft, who is an Indigenous runner. I talked to her earlier this week, and I told her one of the reasons why I started this company was because I would go to starting lines and I would look around and I wouldn't see anybody that looked like my family. And when I present, right, I present like a white guy. So like I fit in essentially, but there were no Puerto Ricans that looked like my family members at starting lines. And I started to realize that even less Black people were at the starting lines, and just people with disabilities like yourself, and even hidden disabilities. When you talk to athletes, I was like, man, these starting lines don't have a lot of diversity. And that was sort of the impetus for getting this business started. And so thank you for joining this conversation. There's another question from Instagram from Adina O'Neill, who is asking, how accommodating are the local races for paratriathletes? Have you noticed?
Yeah. So that year in 2021 was so interesting because there was a lot of fight on accessibility, on making sure that athletes can get down the ramps to the water, coming out, being able to switch, whether you were in a wheelchair, visually impaired, or you were an ambulatory athlete like myself using a prosthesis. And there were times where it'd be conflicting. You know, if you know a triathlon and how it goes, traffic, someone's coming in from the run, but if the course is not set up the right way, it can get really dangerous. And we had to fight for that. We fought for that really hard, and they have gotten a lot better. I can tell you that it's always an improvement. But I have now done over 45 triathlons, well, maybe about 40 at this point. And they have gotten better each time. And I see the accessibility, and I see so many more athletes getting there and getting ready to kind of take that start line.
So I remember my first 70.3 was at Oceanside, California. And I remember running in T1, out of T1, and seeing a Challenge Athlete Foundation athlete sitting on the ground, putting his prosthetic on so that he could clip into the bike. And it just amazed me to think that, here's a person about to clip into a bike. Like you were talking earlier, deer in headlights, right? Like trying to clip in, like that happens to me. The pedals, especially with the Keo Look pedals, right? They don't always go in as easy as we want. You're making a mess. So when it comes to setups in T1 and getting on the bike, and then even getting off the bike when you're in T2, are there scenarios in which race directors should be aware of so that they can make it easier for athletes like yourself to get in and out of transitions?
Yeah, so absolutely. So for one, a lot of race directors are familiar now that we get separate transition, right? Like the entire pole. Like, don't mix some of us up, with just the able-bodied athletes. Making sure that there are chairs available for ambulatory athletes like myself, so they can switch out their prosthesis. And there's enough room because we have more equipment. There are legs, there are wheelchairs, things of that nature. And just those little things help make it safer for everyone. And being aware of the course. And then we also have our own familiarization just for para athletes. That's important so we can understand the course and understand what we're doing, especially if there's a course and the run course has sand, right? Or if it's just difficult, for someone maybe who's visually impaired, who has someone tethered to them as well, and understanding that there's not a large sidewalk here, so you guys may be off. Just little details that help someone compete and complete the race.
So earlier in the conversation, you mentioned you had set your sights on getting the USA kit, the USA letters across your chest, and the cover of our May June magazine features Robert in that kit. Give me an emotional response that you had when that kit was handed to you and you got to wear it for the first time.
Man, so it's funny because you know how Snapchat and Facebook gives you those memories. They actually just gave me my memory because it's June had just passed, and it was June of 2020. And so June of 2020, a lot of the guys were getting ready for Tokyo, and somehow I got into the qualifier to qualify to this race, right? With all the giants, right? So it's a gentleman named Eric McAvaney and Jamie Brown, and one of my friends, Eric Colquist, and a good friend of mine, Uriah. And so now I'm with all these guys who have been racing way longer than me, and I just couldn't believe I was in the mix. And so USAT, you know, they told me that I qualified to race, and that they're going to be sending me a USA kit, and I get a chance to put Rodriguez across it. And I'm like, holy shit, you know, I'm like, oh my God, this is happening. And I remember getting that kit in the mail and standing there and having my mom do a video of me wrapping around just so you can kind of see it. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it was so amazing. And it was in Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin, and for this race. And yes, I mean, I got my butt kicked by all these guys who have been racing and trying to qualify and had points. I still didn't even know the point system, but I went there to get classified because you have to get classified for our category, which is PTS4. So I get classified and get my butt kicked across that finish line, feeling that euphoria feeling, just running through like, oh my gosh, last year I was swimming in my pool with a tether, and here I am just crossing my first, you know, USA race, you know, real with that USA in the front. And I just could not explain that feeling. It was just so amazing. And like I said, that moment helped me to get to nationals and to earn my elite license, which allowed me to start racing international the next year.
Well, if I know Puerto Rican families, which I do, I know there was a celebration when you got that kit in the mail. So what was on the menu that night when the kit was in the mail? What were you guys celebrating and eating?
Oh yeah, steak. Oh, it's for me. It was that's what I would, you know, steak. That's the celebration meal. It's always a fillet. You know, it's like I'm bougie now. It's like, you know, it's a fillet.
No, no pernil, no empanadas.
No, nope, no more. Listen, I don't eat pork anymore, so my family calls me fake Puerto Rican. I'm done. I'm serious. I had to put it away. I had to put it away. It's been 15 years with no pork now. So yeah, so my family's they always roasted me all the time.
Our stories are way too alike, man. So I went plant-based about 13 years ago. So I have not had pernil in that long either. And I miss chuletas. I miss it all, but I haven't had them just as long as you.
Health is wealth. Health is wealth. You know, and I'm still trying to push my family. They're like, get out of here with that. And I'm just, you know, they don't want to hear that. But you know, so I'm not like annoying cousin or brother or whatever it is. But I mean, you know, we're trying to stay healthy, take care of our body. And so that's extremely important to me. But yeah, man, celebrating that moment was just a day to remember. And anytime I got a chance to represent USA Triathlon is just very special and near and dear to me.
That is awesome. And if I have this correct, you have crossed the finish line of a 70.3
I have, yes. Long Beach, Long Island, Long Beach last year. Yes.
at Jones Beach, right?
Beach.
Yeah. What was that like?
First 70.3. Well, if you know about those weather conditions that we had last
Yeah, it was rough.
it was nightmare. It was a nightmare. The bike was just the hardest biking up that wind. So yeah, I did my first 70.3. Plan on doing a full next year because I have my sights set on some other things this year. But yes, that was something to remember.
Do you have a race selected for next year already at the 140.6 distance?
People have races select for me. My friend's really trying to get me to do Lake Placid. He's actually going to be doing it this year. But I don't know yet. I don't know if I want that to be my full. But you know, why not take on the challenge? But that is something I might be looking forward to.
You haven't stepped away from a challenge in 37 years, brother. I don't know why you would start now.
Nope, not at all. And the reason why I'm not doing it this year is because not to get away from triathlon, but in a few months I'll be climbing the third largest volcano in Ecuador, raising money for kids who need prosthetics. So that and doing the New York City Marathon this year. So that's kind of what I have focused on for this year. And then next year we'll be taking on a full for sure.
I think you've just given a lesson without even realizing it. And that is for those of you who are trying to just do everything all at once, give yourself a break. Like do the things that, are important today and then do the next thing that's important tomorrow. You don't have to do every single race that's on the calendar. They will be there at some point when you're ready for it. So don't try to, bury it all in there and then get burned out on these sports because that can easily happen too. Robert, before we jump into our rapid fire food questions, where can people find you so they can learn more about you, get engaged with you? You said you're a motivational speaker, maybe get in touch with you to come talk to their team, their group, their company.
Yeah, well, a few things really quick. I just want to touch on what you just said because the burnout is real. And I felt that, after I got my elite license, I started racing international and right away, right into Japan, went right to France, Portugal, Spain, Turkey, Australia, and started racing all around the world. And that burnout gets crazy. Hours on flights, just trying preparation and really trying to podium, trying to beat your time. And sometimes, you love it and sometimes you don't, and so I would say to anyone out there, please pace yourself. I did so many races where I did have to fall back and then, transition to say, you know what, maybe I just want to run right now or bike or swim. So please be gentle and kind with yourself because we are our biggest cheerleaders, especially triathletes. It's us. It's an individual sport. So fight for yourself, just like you fight for the sport, and be your biggest advocate. So I would say that. And for anyone out there looking to follow me, my socials, robertanthony.speaker. You can Google that as well. And just Instagram, robertanthony.speaker, as well as for Facebook and as well as Twitter.
Awesome. I appreciate your time. And so now we jump right into the rapid fire food questions, which, by the way, you don't have to answer immediately. You can think about it. And before I do that, Adina O'Neill, who had her team Be Real at Jones Beach's 70.3, also commented that race was nuts with the weather. So
anybody who was there knows we were in the thick of it together.
All right, man. I've learned not to assume about answers to this question, but I hope our continuity on a lot of things in life continues. Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
That is 100% yes. Are you kidding me?
What?
This is 100% yes. People go back and forth. I'm a huge pizza guy. Pineapples on pizza, Jason. Yes.
Man, we gotta have to talk after this show. We got a New Yorker who's putting pineapple on pizza. By the way, Owen went to New York. Of all the pizza joints in all of New York City, he walked into the one that I went to when I was a kid living in Inwood in Upper Manhattan. Can you believe this? Like, I don't know, 1,000 pizza joints in all of New York City, and he went into the one that I went to when I was a kid. It was called Pizza Palace in Inwood, and they served like these things called king slices. Yes. So imagine getting like an 18-inch pie and cutting it in four. That you get 4 slices. It was amazing.
Yes. And in the Bronx too, dollar pizzas. People don't know about those, So yeah. Listen, don't get me started on the pizza, Jason. Don't get me started.
The beauty of Manhattan, the Bronx, you walk in, I call them pizza closets because all there is a cooler and an oven. And you walk in there, you get 2 slices and a Coke for $3.50. Like, and you can't beat it.
Can't beat it. And the pizza's banging too, So, yeah. I love it. Yes, sir.
So I live out in LA, and Prince Street Pizza's got 2 locations out here. And Prince Street Pizza's originally from Manhattan. So it's nice to kind of go home again, if you will, and get some New York pizza out here.
You need that in your life. Put some pineapples on that thing, Jason.
No, never. Oreos. Are you an OG Oreo, a double stuffed Oreo, a thin cracker Oreo, or a Cakester Oreo fan?
Oh man. Well, definitely I'm an OG Oreo head. I mean, you gotta go with those. They have some new Oreos. I don't know what I don't even know what they are. My kids, I guess the thin crust now ones, they're okay. But I'm an old fashioned kind of dude. I like the OG Oreos. Give me that pack, slice it open, post race. Let's get it.
Man, if I wanted a cracker, I'd get some wheat thins. Oreos are cookies. Don't be giving me that thin stuff. I don't want it. Don't want to hear about it.
Well, listen, I'm so conscious about my health. It makes me feel like I'm doing a little bit better. I got to convince myself of something, It's like, all right, this is not as bad,
Do you so OG? But then from the flavor perspective, are you just going straight chocolate wafer with the white cream filling,
Yeah,
or are
yeah,
you
yeah.
getting crazy?
No. Heck no. The new flavors, the vanilla flavor, I'm good on all of that. No. Give me the chocolate with the white in the middle for sure. Yeah.
Are you a fan of licorice?
Not a Twizzlers is as close as it's gonna get. This Twizzlers is
Yeah.
as close as it's gonna get for me.
So then red, right? Not black licorice.
Red, no way. No way. Not judging anybody out there. Not judging anybody, but I like my Twizzlers red for sure.
And plus, you get to bite the Twizzler, and then you get to use it as a straw. That's the
Sure,
best part
exactly.
about it.
Exactly. Sure. Come on now.
Peeps. Are Peeps a real candy, or are they just marshmallow covered in glitter dust?
Well, again, I'm a huge marshmallow guy too. So my daughter puts her Peeps in the microwave, which is insane, and they blow up a little bit and they get all gushy. And sometimes we mix them with stuff. We get crazy over here. Not that I'm condoning this junk food, because everyone knows that I hate junk food really too. But since we're on the topic, Peeps are marshmallows covered in crap, but it's a candy to me. You know.
All right. So the next time your daughter wants to put it in the microwave, you got to put two in there because we've been told this. Put two in the microwave. Put toothpicks in the beaks, and when they blow up, it's like peep jousting. So you can have a little fun while you're doing it too.
All right, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that for sure.
We got breaking news on this show. Let me tell you.
I love it. The hacks. Those are life hacks.
Candy corn. Is candy corn a real candy, or is it just earwax covered in sugar?
No, we're doing candy corn big time. Candy corn is over here. I just had candy corn the other day. My son, we were in Florida. Just got, like I said, got back this morning, and I took them to It's Sugar. And my kids were a Sunset Walk in Orlando. And yeah, candy corn was 100% in that bag.
All right, but are you then also eating those little Halloween pumpkins that they come out with too?
Yes, it's all going down, Jason. It's all going down. My teeth don't love it. This root canal, the one root canal I have, doesn't love it, but it's all going down.
This is why I love talking to people about food with people. It's amazing how passionate people can get about food, and I love every second.
Dude, those pumpkins hit. Like, give me. I'm telling you, I might pick the pumpkin out in the mix of the candy corn. You know what I'm saying? Get to the candy corn later. I need them pumpkins.
Creamy or crunchy peanut butter or nut butter if you've got allergies?
I don't have allergies. I don't like crunchy peanut butter. I like creamy peanut butter. Yeah. Make it easy. It's already hard enough to get down already.
So when you make your peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, how do you do it? You put peanut butter on one slice, jelly on the other, smash them together, or peanut butter and jelly on the same slice and then smash it?
I'm definitely putting jelly on one side, peanut butter on the other side. If I'm getting crazy because I like a little jelly, I might put a little bit more jelly on the peanut butter side. And sometimes what you can do is you put peanut butter on a circle on its side and just put jelly around it. So you got a jelly side, peanut butter with jelly around it. Smack that thing. Or if you're feeling lazy, get you a Smucker's. I got a few of those in the freezer too.
Dude, Uncrustables are the king of all snacks.
That's it.
When you're out on that long ass bike ride, right?
Pull that bad boy up. You know it. Lunch is served.
Can't be beat. The king of the bike ride snack.
Yes, sir.
Red velvet cake. Is that a real flavor, or is that just chocolate cake dressed up to go to the prom?
Red velvet cake. So where I come from, you get red velvet. It's like we getting fancy. We ordering red velvet. You stepping out. You know what I'm saying? You gotta really. That's it. We doing it up. It must be. We really celebrating here if we getting the red velvet. You know, that's kind of how it's like pinky up. Give me this red velvet cake. You know. That's how I feel.
As a Boricua from the Boogie Down, I completely understand that.
Yeah.
Favorite flavor of ice cream is?
Whoa, see, this is like this question gets a little weird. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to. I know I gotta give an answer, so I'm gonna give chocolate as an answer. But you know, cookie dough is really high up there on my list. I'll go with cookie dough or chocolate for right now.
Do you remember the Carvel commercials with Fudgy the Whale back in the day?
Yes, sir.
Oh my goodness! Like you couldn't beat a Fudgy the Whale ice cream cake from Carvel. The crunchies on the bottom, the best.
Like it's the ice cream cake. Oh my goodness, that was it. And I think they just got rid of that marketing not too long ago, like within the last decade or so, because I was bringing my kids in there and he was still up. So yeah, you can't beat that.
You can't let Fudgy the Whale go, man. You got to bring him back.
Yeah,
Favorite candy bar is
Snickers.
frozen,
No, not frozen.
straight up.
Yeah, just straight up. And then now they have like the brownie ones, the fudge brownie Snickers too, but definitely Snickers.
Chocolate chip or oatmeal raisin cookie?
I'm going oatmeal raisin. I'm on my health tip. We got to make it. I got to convince myself this is good, but I'm getting oats in this cookie. Like,
I'm gonna ignore all the sugar in here. I've got oats.
Yeah. Oats and raisins. What are you talking about? There's oats and raisins in here. We're doing good, Jason. We're doing good.
Grains and fruit. Look at me.
That's it, coach. I'm doing good, coach.
Pop-Tarts, frosted or unfrosted?
Whoa. I don't think that matters. To me, it's like whatever's here, but I'm going to go unfrosted because that sugar is different with the frost. I don't know what they got going on in that sugar when it has the frost on there. And I can eat probably 20 just straight red cherry Pop-Tarts with no frosting. If it
Yes!
has maybe 4, but man, I'll eat the whole pack for sure if it's just cherry plain up.
Cherry Pop-Tarts are the best. It can't be beat.
It's number 1.
All right, last question for you. Tray of brownies just comes out of the oven. Are you going corner edge or are you going straight middle for the ooey gooey section?
Well, at this point, the stage I am, it's whichever one I can grab before my wife actually sees me in the kitchen and starts yelling at me for grabbing the brownies early, especially if we're going to an outing, right? So that's that's kind of where I'm at in my life. But I would say I'm probably going to grab that middle one. We're going to save those edges for somebody else. That's last but not least.
Do you put nuts on the brownie? Do you prefer to have nuts on the brownies?
Nah. I like it smooth too. So now if we're talking brownies and they're hot, now I'm adding vanilla ice cream with that with some caramel. That's what we're doing over here.
All right, I'm gonna leave you with this because the next question was gonna be if you put ice cream on top, what's the flavor? And you said vanilla. So here I'm gonna ask you to do this. I'm assuming you like coffee, which is a big assumption. Not everybody does.
Love it. About 90% of triathletes are, coffee drinkers.
And by the way, Cafe Bustelo, if you're listening to this, sponsor us because we have been petitioning them on Threads to sponsor our Food Fight Friday because triathletes, runners, cyclists, swimmers, we live with coffee. And Cafe Bustelo, this is right for you. So here's the thing. Get coffee ice cream, right? Get your fresh brownie, put it in the mug. Then put your coffee ice cream on top of it. And as you're eating it, it's like eating a mocha, right? But then the coffee melts and the ice cream melts, and all of a sudden you've got like an affogato in there with the brownie and the chocolate and the coffee, and it is to die for. So the next time you cross your finish line, let that be your celebratory meal after you have your steak.
Absolutely. So, all right, after the steak, that's what I do. I order the brownie, and my wife knows what we'll do is like if we're out to eat, I'll get like the chocolate lava or whatever. But I like to get it to go because then I'll come home, I'll watch my show, eating my brownie. So I'm gonna do that, and I'll make a cup of coffee, and do that. That'll be next on my list.
All right, man. You just brought this up, and you brought it upon yourself. What's your guilty pleasure show? Because you said I watch my show. What's your guilty pleasure show?
We got a ton of those. We got Jay. I don't know, man. Power is always one of them. Right now, I'm watching The Mole. Depends on how corny I'm feeling. Then I'll watch something like Perfect Match or The Circle, things like that. So I think it just depends on what I can binge. That's gonna keep me entertained. Right now, I'm watching The Mole, and I can't wait till Thursday and these new episodes come out. That's kind of it's it. Just depends on what's going on.
I'm going to have to start a TV show podcast for our guilty pleasures after like a hard training day, right? You get home, you just want to sit on the couch and veg out for a bit. Yep. I'm a huge fan of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and the Real Housewives of New York. Like I could watch that for hours on end, man.
Listen, my wife and I, we used to do like just ignorant TV day, like where it's like we're shutting our brain off and watching these stupid people do stupid things on TV. Like that's what we would do. Like, all right, we're shutting it off and we're about to watch this nonsense.
That's it.
You got to do it.
Awesome.
You put on that show, you get some pizza with pineapples, you get some brownie, you get your Cafe Bustelo. And listen, shout out to Cafe Bustelo, first coffee I ever had. And just, if you bought Equal, you know, that can was used for other things once that coffee was done, right? You know? Come on, let's give One Try Bike a sponsorship. with Cafe Bustelo for sure.
How many times did you take the can of Cafe Bustelo off the shelf and all you would hear was screws and nails because your dad threw all that shit in there?
Yep. That's it. You know, it's used for several things. You know, if you know, you know. You know, for real.
Brother, I love you. Thanks so much for being on the show. We'll have to have you back on again. Thank you so much. For those of you who missed the show, you could read about Robert's. He's a cover story for our May and June issue and our podcast. This show will drop on Sunday, and it'll be up on our YouTube channel as well as on our website on Friday. Robert, thank you so much, man. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Run, Try, Bike. All I want to say is growing is giving and loving is living.